Why hello there, I'm Anxious Cynic, and thanks for joining me for another wallpaper competition roundup. The theme for this competition was fishing, and we had a number of great submissions, so it actually was more difficult than usual to make a selection for this one. But anyway, you're all here for the wallpapers, so let's just jump right into it. So first up is a few of our honorable mentions. So this wallpaper is by Cookie Studio. I like the concept with this one, and overall what's presented is nicely executed. The main issues that stuck out to me were the colors and the fog. The colors are nice and eye-catching, but I can't help but feel like it's a bit too loud. It could be interpreted as a sunset, but the colors are so strong across the entire image it almost comes off as an Instagram filter rather than a natural light through fog. And speaking of the fog, I think adding more of a gradient to it would have helped in conjunction with the colors. For instance, having the fog thicker near the water and dissipate towards the top of the image would help add some depth and realism. Next up is Pigman Movies submission. I get strong Limbo vibes from this one, and anyone who's heard me talk about that game should know it's a favorite of mine, so I really like the aspect of this image. But a couple of things I would do to improve on this concept would be to add more background layers in the distance so it doesn't appear quite as void. And the humanoid character kind of just sticks out in a bad way to me. I like the attempt at a more realistic character style, but I feel like a basic Minecraft character would have been less distracting. That's just my opinion. And the next one up is by GPEX. This was a very strong image in a lot of ways. The colors and composition of the elements and the details in the scene really sell this one. But I think adding some depth of field and maybe not going with the pixelated skybox image would have really helped push this one towards the top of the list. And finally, for the honorable mentions, we have Z Gaming's. I had to include this one just for the simple fact that it flips the theme on its head. Reversing the roles of the human and the fish is great, and it's pretty well executed at that. I love the derp eyes on the human character. And finally, for the top 3 wallpapers for the fishing competition. First up is Alpha Dog's wallpaper. This is a really unique interpretation of the theme, and both elements presented here were executed very well. Both scenes have well thought out design and props and even lighting. Not to mention you're basically getting 2 wallpapers in one image, so major kudos for the concept and the execution of this one. Next up is Sharpwind's wallpaper. For a theme called fishing, I think this is the epitome of interpretation. The lighting, particles, composition, and effects all come together nicely to make this image the embodiment of this theme. I think the image works well for what it is, but a few things could be tweaked to add a little more polish in my opinion. I'm not sure if it was intentional, but the grainy look of the depth of field comes off as low quality artifacts to me, almost like a low res digital camera struggling with bokeh. The lens flare is okay, but I think reducing it slightly would be a little less distracting. The splash and reflection effects really help to sell the image, so I'm a big fan of how they were used here, but I think reducing the reflection a bit would bring more focus to the main subject of the scene, and adding a bit more distortion to it as well as the splash ripples would help to sell the effect that much more. As it is, they kind of look like they're sort of sitting on top of it or whatever, but overall it's still a great image. I just think that those little tweaks would have really helped to sell those effects. And finally, for the grand winner of this fishing wallpaper competition is by Roby. I really enjoyed the look and style of this image. It's dark, it's cold, it's almost like brooding in a way. It looks like a scene from a movie. One thing this really captured, in my opinion, is a moment. One thing we always emphasize is action, and even though this scene is pretty simple and there isn't much actual movement implied, you can feel the momentum of the scene as captured in this one moment. It raises questions and alludes to more of an untold story. So in my opinion, that is why this one comes out on top. There's much more going on here than what the image shows, and it kind of makes you want to know more about where this image took place. So that's it. Once again, thanks to everyone who submitted, and as always, if you want to participate in these wallpaper competitions, join the Discord server, link is in the description, and watch the PSA section for the next theme announcement. Alright, that's it. Bye guys!